In this video, I'm going to show you how to tune, that's T-O-O-N, this car into this car. Pretty cool, huh? First thing we're going to do here today is we're going to crop out the outline of the car. That way we won't have a lot of background that's getting modified, and the background also tends to make things a little confusing. So we're going to go use Affinity Photo to crop this photo. First thing we do is going to be using this selection tool to actually draw an outline around the car. Now this is going to be very tedious, so I'm not going to bore you with the details. I'll speed up the video of this happening, and then right at the very end I will slow it down again and show you how this looks when it's all said and done. Okay, just a little bit more to go. Couple more clicks and we have selected an outline of this car. Now we'll zoom out and hit the delete key, and there you go. You see we have deleted all of the background material, leaving only the car's outline, which ultimately will be a lot easier to manipulate. Okay, now that we've got the car clipped basically out of the scene, or clipped everything else out of the scene, we're going to shorten the car. First thing we do is we go and select the mesh tool from Affinity Photo, and we'll mark the points where we're gonna make the area between these lines that I've got drawn here shorter. There we go. You can see the rear of the car is getting shorter, but we're gonna have to fix that discrepancy right there. So what we'll do is we'll click there and we'll move that up, and you'll see that it's moving the bottom up as well. So we'll have to click down there and move that bottom down some. Okay, there we go. And it generally looks okay. Now, mind you, this process is not perfect by any means, and the entire process is going to produce something today that is not ideal. I would normally do a little bit better job than what you're going to see today, all right? But this is going to be a quick take on this just to show you how it's done. All right, we've got the rear quarter panel shortened. Now let's go on that rear quarter panel from the front of the fender up to the door itself. Now this is not much to shorten, but it's going to make a difference. Here we go, same procedure. We cut the areas, and then we're going to select the points, and we're going to slide together, okay? Here we go. Make whatever adjustments we need to right there. Adjust the window. There we go. Adjust that window area right there. It's pretty close at the bottom there, but we're going to adjust it regardless. There you go. Now we may need to correct the tempo a little bit because it's a little off as well. Okay, back to the mesh tool. Okay, let's do the front end of the car now. In front of the wheel well there, we're going to mark, and then there we go. And then let's make another mark. I'm basically considering whether I want to shorten that marker light, turn signal light, whatever it is, and leave it there, or do I want to basically shorten it down to practically nothing? And I'm thinking, you know, I'll go ahead and shorten it down to practically nothing. It's just going to make the whole effort look a lot better with that front end in front of the wheel really shortened. There we go. Okay. Go back to the mesh tool one more time, and let's shorten between the door and the wheel well there. There you go. Now once again, same procedure. Every time, same procedure. Oops. Sometimes when you select a point on the mesh, the all the points don't move. So you have to restart the whole process again. Now, in this particular instance, I'm basically removing the sport tempo there, which is fine. We're just, once again, this is more or less just a run of this process to show you how it's done. Next up, let's shorten the door. Click between the rear of the door and the beginning of the door. And here we go. Let's select those 4 points. Excuse me, more like 8 points. And we'll shorten the door up considerably. Now you'll notice that the windshield is a bit curved there. Now I'm going to have to, let's see if I can correct that a little bit. There we go. We'll pull it out just a little bit to straighten that windshield out. Now the car is looking like a hopped up Maverick or something. It's an interesting look right now. Now I do eventually want to make the passenger compartment larger. So here we go. We're going to work on the passenger compartment. We're going to select the roof area there, and we'll bring it up. Now you'll notice what's happening to the rear of the car. It's not good, okay? But we'll correct that. Let's just select that 1 point, and let's bring it in. Okay, looking a lot better. Looking pretty good. Looking kind of Gran Torino-ish. Kind of just eyeballing it, seeing what I like. Now, that area right there of the window opening needs to be modified. So there you go. We're moving it across. Now you notice on the back side, the passenger compartment did not work properly. So we'll get around to fixing that as well. You'll see that I just shortened it between the wheel well and the door there. All right, here we go. Let's fix the roof. The roof is not as straight as we will want it to be. Now, this is where it gets into areas that are really tricky when you're using the mesh tool, because if you grab that little bar right there and bring it up, it lowers the opposite side of the point. And that's not always what you want. Obvious, this is bad right here, what I'm doing. So have to undo that. Okay, let's bring it back up, and let's make this roof as straight as we can get it. Now you can see it's got a little bow in the middle there. We'll have to fix that eventually. Okay, we basically saved that. Remember, we still have the bow in the middle, which is fine. What about the hood scoop on the hood? Let's do something fun with that. Let's make it big, really big, and let's alter the shape of it. Okay, so here we go. So what we can do, we're adding extra points so that those points don't move, but other points do move. Now let's see if we can select the points that we want. Okay, we got 2 points selected there. And went to pick the third point and have to redo it all. Okay, let's pick those 2 points again. And let's see if we can go get that third point, because we don't want to move everything. We just want to move just the top of the hood scoop. Here we go. There goes the hood scoop. We're going to make a great old big hood scoop on this car. It's going to be really cool when we get done with it. Now you'll notice a little bit fuzzy, and that's just around the edges, fuzzy around the edges. That's just an artifact of the camera that basically you can't get around when you're dealing with. These are called pixel images. They're not vectors. Okay, so when you have pixel images, you're just not going to be able to get around it. Now that looks pretty cool. I like that forward-facing hood scoop. Looks really aggressive. Now by doing that, we have screwed up the shape of the hood and the fender well. So we got to go back and fix that. Okay, and that could be really tricky. You see, I tried to drag it down there, and it didn't necessarily want to drag down there. So I'm going to save what I got and restart on the mesh and define some mesh points where we really want them, and so that we won't be accidentally moving places that we don't want to move. So we're going to move right there at the location where there's a problem. Okay, bring those two. Let's bring them down. Let's see if we can straighten that hood back out. Or at least make it the curvature that we'd prefer. There we go. Looks pretty decent. Once again, just keep in mind we're not trying to make this perfect. Okay, this is just an example, so you can see how it can be done. Work on that hood a little bit so we can straighten out that little notch right there in the hood. Which the notch in the hood doesn't bother me that much, especially on something that, like I said, kind of more practice, more tutorial than anything else. But there we go. We got it looking nice. Looks pretty good right now. I like that. Okay. Save our work. And let's move on to the next step in the process. Okay, next thing we're going to work on is the wheels. And Affinity Photo has a tool called a punch tool and a pinch tool. Unfortunately, I always get them mixed up, so if I say something wrong here, it's because I'm getting pinch and punch mixed up. The punch tool is as if you're punching a hole. You're making a hole larger. So I've used the punch tool to punch out that wheel and make it larger. Now I'm using the pinch tool on the center of the wheel to make basically the hub right there, the axle, smaller. Now I'm back to the punch tool, and I'm making the punch tool large, okay, because I want to include the fender as well. Making the punch tool large. It's getting larger. Now, I don't want that wheel to be as large as the rear wheel, so I'm going to bring it on out. Now I've got it the size I want it. Now let's use the pinch tool to pinch that center axle back down to be a much smaller size. Now I'm adjusting the size. You can see those concentric circles getting larger and smaller in there, and that's me adjusting the size. Still a little too big. Okay, so now there we go. Let's get it about right. Maybe. Okay, a little larger. Yeah, okay. There we go. Because this is sort of like a proportional thing, and we want the axles to be approximately the same size. And there we go. They're approximately the same size. Now we've got the larger wheels. We want to save our work, and we're done modifying the wheels and the fender wells. Okay, now let's go back and do some cleanup on the whole system. First, let's start with this tempo that's obviously screwed up from when we shorten the rear of the car. We're using the stamp tool here right now, and the stamp tool basically takes a copy of one area and copies it to another area. So basically you click on the area you want to copy, and then you go and you hold down your mouse on the area you want to copy it to. And that's called, I believe it's called the stamp tool. And it's not working all that great right now because you can see things aren't just totally lined up. But if I play with it a little bit, it'll eventually line up to something that's halfway decent in terms of Hot Wheels. I've seen much worse goof ups in tempo on Hot Wheels than what I just did right there. So it's all good. From 3 feet away, it looks fine. Now, I had mentioned earlier in the video that the interior of the car, the roof of the car, had not done correctly or had not been correctly done. The stamp tool serves the purpose of fixing this as well. You can see I've clicked down lower than the roof line there, and I'm bringing what's below the roof line up towards the roof line, including that shadow that you see there. Now let's work on the seat, because the seat has gotten unbelievably narrow. And I'm going to see if I can do a stamp tool here. Stamp tool is going to be tricky on this because the seat's incredibly narrow, and you can see my stamp tool is way too big. Have to undo that. Now let's make my stamp tool smaller. Now, stamp tool, even though it looks like it's the correct size, I'm not sure it is. And it is not, because it is grabbing part of the interior of the car there and stamping it on there, which means my stamp tool is still too large. Let's make it down a little smaller. Try it again. All right, here we go. Up. It's really hard to do this with the stamp tool and do it correctly. Plus, when I get done, the seat's going to be basically in the wrong position. The seat's going to be so far forward, it's going to look like a steering wheel. In fact, when I first looked at this and noticed it being bad, I was like, is that the steering wheel or is that the seat? It became apparent to me that that's the seat itself. So I'm not a real big fan of that. Let's go back and get the actual seat out of the actual photo of the car. We're going to do a copy of it, and we'll bring that over and we'll use that copy. So first thing we have to do is we have to go and select the seat, and you'll see that that's what I'm doing. Just like I made a outline of the car originally, I'm doing outline of the seat, and once again, it's not as finely grained as it probably should be, but we're just doing a tutorial here, showing you how it's done. You can see the outline. Now there's the copy. Okay. Let's go turn off the original car. Well, make sure we copy the right thing. Okay. And now we got to copy the seat. We're pasting it up here. And we'll just label it as seat. Now, let's turn on the Toon version of the car. There we go. And you can see the seat is way too far forward. So let's move it approximately where it should be at. Now, once again, this is going to be a little tricky because it's not rotated properly right now. We'll eventually have to rotate it. Plus, it needs to be made a bit larger. So let's make it larger. There you go. Here we go. Let's do a little rotation. Make it line up with the top of the door and the back quarter panel there. Now let's make it a little bit more narrow, something more reasonable. And once again, it probably needs a little rotation there. Rotate it around, and we'll scooch it up just a little bit. Move it just a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty decent. I'm happy with it. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Now we'll go back and we will once again we'll use the stamp tool, and we will get rid of the old seat by basically just copying part of the interior over the top of the old seat. All right, here we go. There we go. Works very nicely. And got to be real careful. Got to work it real fine. And that's it. It worked pretty good. Zoom back out. Let's see what else we need to work on. debating what to do about the quarter window there. I think I'm going to just go leave the quarter window. That's going to be something really hard to work with, something hard to do. So let's just save our work and work on something else at this point in time, okay? Okay, let's fix this roof. It looks really bad. Well, the interior of the car looks pretty bad too, but I really don't like the roof. The camel hump or the sway back in the roof just kind of bother me. Now, what we're going to use for this, we're going to just use the erase tool. We're just going to erase it so that it's fairly straight across. And then from the 3-foot test, we'll see that it's not necessarily crooked anymore. And we'll also fix a little bit of this fuzziness right here that occurs when you use the mesh tool sometimes to move objects. And there we go. The roof looks much better already. It's amazing how much just a little bit of work on something will change the whole aesthetic of it. Next thing we want to do is to get a background for this car. We want a background that is not obnoxious, doesn't detract from the car, but presents the car very well. I've already got a background prepared, so let me bring it in and show it to you. And there you go. Overall, this has been an interesting exercise. It's not perfect by any means. In fact, it's pretty far from perfect. It produces something that's interesting. It allows for a lot of creativity. Different people will see different things in the cars and say, I want a high roof, I want big wheels, I want tiny wheels, I want great big wheel in the back, little tiny wheel in the front, great big huge spoiler on the back. There's a lot of opportunities for modifying these diecast cars or photos of these diecast cars in a manner that a Hot Wheels or a Matchbox might pick up in the future and do something like that themselves. Hope you've enjoyed my process. If you did, please like and subscribe. And of course, have a great day.